Hey, this is Steve. Today we are looking at another $18 to $20 smartwatch. This one is very similar to the GT08 that I reviewed previously, and it's the DZ09. A couple of the differences. Basically inside it's the same watch as the GT08. The form factor is quite a bit different. The interface is quite a bit different. Camera's in a different place, and the biggest thing for me for this watch over the GT08 is on the DZ09 I was able to get it working with the SIM card. So I can show you some of the apps, and I can show you how the watch works in standalone mode rather than just tethered to the phone. So I'm going to show you what's in the box, and then we'll get to the review. Alright, so first let's take a quick look at the box. It's just a basic square box, nothing special. There's not really any padding in the lid on this one. What you get in the box is the instruction manual. Comes in what I'm assuming is Chinese and English. There's this code for you to scan with your phone to go to a website and download the application. It's kind of sketchy in my opinion. I would not recommend doing that. I'd get the BT notifications app from the Google Play Store, or an equivalent app on the Apple Store. I'm not sure what that would be. If there's any users that do know, please put that in the comments for those iOS users. The phone comes wrapped in this little plastic thing, just sits in the slot here. The only other thing in there is the, if I can get it out of here, the micro USB charging cable. It's a really small one, so I just use one from one of my previous devices. That's it in the box, nothing special. So looking at the device, it has a 1.56 inch TFT LCD screen, 0.3 megapixel camera. So this one is kind of a forward facing, whereas the GT08 was a front facing back toward you. It supports a micro SD card up to 32 gigabytes, although I put a 32 gigabyte card in here and it did not recognize it at all. So I don't know if that was a issue with the card, or maybe it can't handle the faster class. It was a class 10 card, so it's possible the watch just can't handle its class 10 cards. I have a 512 megabyte card in here now just for the purposes of the review. It's powered by the MTK 6260A processor running at 533 megahertz. Has 128 megabytes of RAM, 64 megabytes of ROM, and it does support a single SIM and provides 3G connectivity. So looking at the watch, at the top is that 0.3 megapixel camera, the microphone, speaker grills on the back, and this is a port for the micro USB charging port. I can't get it off. It's kind of hard to get off. I usually have to use tweezers. Just this little tiny tab here, and you can pull it off using that. I just can't get it with my fingernails. And then at the bottom below the screen is a button that acts as your power on and off, and your back button. Let me go ahead and pull the back off. If you notice, there's this little notch here. Just kind of get your finger in there and pull the back right off. Inside is the 380 milliamp per hour battery. Battery life on this thing is 1 day at best. You're definitely going to have to charge it every night. I haven't been able to get more than 1 day out of it. Lifting out the battery, you have the SD card slot and the SIM slot. I have a SIM in there and the 512 SD card. So putting everything back together, there's these little tabs for the battery that it has to fit in, and then the speaker grill lines up with the speaker on the watch itself here. Everything just snaps back together. So I'm going to go ahead and power it up. You can see how fast this starts up. Just gives you a little splash screen, and then you're into the watch. Now we'll give it a few seconds to sync up with my phone here because I've previously paired it. It's connecting. It's going to ask if I want to synchronize the time. I do. And there we go. We're in. So when you first boot up the watch, it takes you to the screen, but through daily use, when the screen goes off and then you turn it back on, it's going to bring you to the watch face. There's 3 watch faces on the device, and you access them by tapping the center of the screen. So there's this one, and this one. That's it. There's no option to add additional faces. There is a way to go in and modify the ones that are there, but it's a real kludgy process, and I'm not going to go over it in these videos. So once you're on the clock face, you can swipe to the left, and you're kind of at the main screen here. This has some information across the top. So I have a SIM in there. It's on T-Mobile. You can see it says T-Mobile at the top here. And then it has the battery life and some indicators indicating I'm connected by Bluetooth and so forth. The time's displayed, the current date with the day. This is for making calls, your contact list, and this takes you to the main menu for all the applications. So going into make calls, because I have a SIM in here, I can dial my number and call directly from the watch, or I can call through Bluetooth for the phone. So let's try. Put in a number here. We're going to do a dial. And you see it's giving me an option if I want to do a local call or Bluetooth call. Local call will use the SIM that's in the device. Bluetooth call will call through Bluetooth through the device that you're paired with, so your phone. The call quality is not great. It's functional, but you got to make sure that you're pretty close to the microphone port up here when you're talking. It's going to not pick up very well if you just talk a distance away from the phone. It's going to pick up a lot of the ambient noise, and the speaker is actually pretty loud on this, so the speaker works really well. The Contacts app brings you into the contacts, and I'm synchronized with my phone, so it's going to pull the contacts from my phone here. And then if we go into menu, this brings us to all the apps that are on the phone. So this is a 4-up display, so it has 4 icons on each screen. And then down at the bottom, you can see dots that represent what screen you're on. So this first one just has the dialer, contacts, and then a basic call log. Here on the second screen is the profiles. So we have general, silent, meeting, outdoor. This controls the sound and vibration of your device, just a quick grouping of settings. So general is basically everything on. Silent, everything muted. Meeting is everything muted but vibration is on, and then outdoor is kind of a mix between the two. And then you can go into any of these, customize, and change those settings, and then just save them back. And you can't create new profiles, but you can modify the existing profiles. Remote notifier, this when you get notifications pushed from your phone to the watch, that will display all your notifications that come across. The Bluetooth camera or remote capture, that will activate the camera on your phone and show you what the phone is seeing on the screen on your watch, and then you can just tap the screen on the watch and it'll take the picture on the phone. That's kind of nice if you need to see what's in tight areas. You can kind of get your phone back there, but you can't see the screen. You can use this as a remote screen for your phone. File manager is basic file manager. You can browse all the files that are on your SD card that you have inserted in there. Next page is it's basically a gallery. It's labeled image viewer. It's a gallery for all the pictures that are taken on your phone. Messaging is just an instant messenger. You can write messages. You can view your inbox, your drafts, your outbox, just a typical SMS messenger. It does not support MMS. Settings I'll skip for now. Calendar is a very basic calendar. Doesn't show you any of your appointments or anything, but it shows you a calendar. Alarms, it lets you set, I think there's 5 or 6 different alarms you can set. You're limited to these, and you can't add more, but you can modify any of these and turn them on and off. Calculator, just what you would expect, a basic calculator, but it's functional. Sound recorder lets you record your voice or ambient noise or whatever directly to the SD card that's in the watch. It's weird when you go into it on this one, it wants to disconnect the Bluetooth audio. So if we go in here, it's asking if I want to disconnect the Bluetooth music. I don't know why it does that. I don't recall the GT08 doing that, but it works when you do that. Bluetooth, This is just settings for Bluetooth. You can turn it on and off, turn visibility on and off, search for new devices, change the device name, etc. It's just typical Bluetooth settings. Next page, we have the camera, and this is the internal camera on the device. So it's front facing, so we can see, putting my hand in there. And then if you want to take a picture, you just tap the little camera icon. It gives you a preview. And then you can just go back. And you can zoom. It has a, obviously it's a digital zoom of an already pixelated image, so I'm not sure how much you're going to be using that zoom. Audio player is exactly what it sounds like. It lets you control your music, your Bluetooth music. Pedometer is a basic pedometer, but it's actually pretty accurate. I can compare it with my Garmin Vivo Active, and it was actually pretty close, within a small percentage of difference from the Vivo Active. So it was actually fairly accurate. This is a sleep monitor. This needs to be started manually. The same with the pedometer. That's not an all-day step tracker. You have to start and stop it manually. It's the same with the sleep tracker. Before you go to sleep, you hit start. When you wake up, you hit back, or it'll be, there'll be an end button there. So you end it. So, we're recording, and then we're going to stop. And then basically it just shows you your sleep quality here. Doesn't give you any other detail. A lot of smartwatches will show you how many hours or how many minutes were deep sleep, how many were light sleep. This doesn't show you any of that. It just shows you the overall sleep quality. Sedentary reminder, just lets you set a reminder to remind you to stand up and stretch or go for a walk or whatever. This is the same code that's in the manual, and again, it allows you to go out to the web page on your phone and download the APK for Android or whatever the iOS equivalent is and install it from the website. Again, I would recommend getting BT notifications on the Android side from the Play Store. It's just a little bit more legit distribution. Anti-lost will vibrate when you get too far from your phone, and just to remind you not to forget it. So the browser is just a really, really basic browser. And you can see it's loading here. So there we go. It brought us to Google. You can search through here, and that's it. It's, I don't know how useful that is, but it's there. So the Facebook, Twitter, and WhatsApp, these are all basically web versions of those applications. So this is going to take us to kind of even a scaled down web version of Facebook. So there we go. We can create an account, we can log in, and it's going to be basically just text only. Twitter, same deal. And this doesn't seem to want to load up. Let's try the WhatsApp. These do load if you give it enough time. It's just, it's not real fast. I'm in a really good signal area here, and supposedly the watch supports 3G, so WhatsApp, it looks like the page is not valid anymore. So, it's kind of hit and miss. It's a cheap device, and if any of these pages, get changed for what the link is set up to, you're not going to have access to it anymore. But you do have the browser, so you could go into the browser and set up a shortcut to whatever web app you want. So I'm going to send a text message from another device so you can kind of see what it looks like to receive a text. So I just sent that test. So it's vibrating. And if we go into remote notifier, it's empty because it came directly to the device. So if we go into messages, inbox, we can see all the text messages that we've received. And there's the one that I just sent from the other phone. This tab shows you all the text messages that you've received directly on the device. On the other tab, I don't know if you can see it, but it has a little Bluetooth icon there. That is your inbox from your remote device. So it'll load the inbox via Bluetooth from your phone, which is actually really nice. You can keep those two separated. So that's about it on the device. I showed you the basic functionality, some of the functionality when you have the SIM card in there, what the camera looks like, and now I'll give you some of my parting thoughts on the device. So as with the GT08, I was actually pretty impressed with the DZ09. I was actually more impressed with this device because I was able to get the SIM card working and actually use it as a standalone device. So really, you could get this watch and not even take your phone with you and still send and receive text messages, make and receive phone calls, and do some, extremely basic web browsing. The camera is not great, but in a pinch, if you need to take a quick shot, it's not horrible either. And the battery life is about a day. One thing I didn't mention yet, the band on here is actually really good. It's a plastic band, but it's pretty solid, and it has a typical watch band clasp on it that I never had a problem with. It never slipped out, never popped out, and it felt really comfortable. The watch it looks a little bulky, but it's actually very light and very comfortable to wear. I can put it on real quick and kind of show you what it looks like on the wrist. I have pretty big wrists, but it doesn't look too bad. It's not a horrible looking watch. The only thing I wish it had is the wake up gesture. So when you kind of bring your arm up, the screen wakes up. It doesn't have any of that. So if you want to access the watch, you have to bring it up and then hit the button, which, that's not a huge deal, but you kind of get spoiled with some of the functionality of other watches. But this is an $18 to $20 device. I think some of the sellers on Amazon even have it for 16 bucks. So who's it good for? I would say anybody that wants a smartwatch that gives you your notifications on your wrist, lets you receive and send text messages, make and receive calls. It's definitely for anybody that wants it tethered to their phone, and this one I could recommend for people that want a standalone device with that basic functionality. This is definitely doable. With the SIM in there, I was still able to get it through a day. I did see a diminishment in the battery life, but I was able to get through a day still. But either case, with or without the SIM, you're gonna have to charge it every night. It's not a huge deal. It's got a micro SD or a micro USB charging port, so you can charge it pretty much anywhere. Everybody has a million of those laying around. It's not waterproof or anything, so be really careful even washing your hands. But for the price, honestly, you can't beat it. It's actually an excellent watch for the price. If you have any questions or want me to do another video on this watch, going into more specifics on anything I went over, please let me know. Please rate and subscribe if you think I did a good job. Also, below I'll have a link to my Amazon affiliate site that takes you directly to the seller that I bought this watch from on Amazon. If you're going to buy it, I would like to ask that you use that link because it doesn't cost you anything extra, and Amazon will give me a little tiny cut of the sale, and any money I make on this channel goes right back into the channel to try to get some better equipment. So thanks for watching, and keep your eyes out for some more review videos and tutorials. Thanks so much.